So last time we did Adobe Acrobat Part 1, and we decided that we're going to do Part 2 because we had so many questions. And I think there's even more you can do with Adobe, but this is just what I'm going to go over for today. Again, I have a tight timeline today, so I'm going to try to finish on time, but always use the team if you have questions. So I'm Larissa. My co-host is Leslie. We're from the library. You know where to find us. Just go to Inside and search for library. We do have some upcoming classes. We're in the middle of some classes our editors are teaching on writing persuasive R01 proposals. So those might be useful for you. And we have a class coming up on predatory publishing in the age of AI. So those are also on the institutional calendar and the library calendar if you would like to sign up to attend. I also wanted to mention that there's some new CV training. So if you're working on the new My CV system, the one that's replacing FIS, just keep in mind these trainings are regular. FIS is going to be sunset in August, the end of August, the end of the fiscal year. So there were some additional trainings posted and there were more advanced trainings. So if you've already taken the basic ones, maybe check out the new ones coming out because I think they're very, very useful. And I've noticed that you know, when people give feedback, they're really taking it seriously and they're trying to embed, update the system based on that feedback. Yeah, Leslie, would you share the library calendar link for us in the chat?
I certainly will.
Thank you. Okay, this is a very red slide. I apologize. That's just Adobe. We're doing part 2. So I wanted to remind everyone, my favorite thing that I've learned since doing this is that if you can't find a tool, use the little search bar and search for the tool that you're looking for in Adobe. It saves you a lot of time hunting around. I know some people are really good with keyboard shortcuts. I'm not as good with them, but you can use Shift F4. Someone told us that last time to bring up the Tools tab. And you can also search the search box for the tool. So you don't have to hunt through menus for things, just search for the tool that you're looking for in Adobe. The one thing I wanted to mention this time is if you're creating a form in Adobe, and I have been asked this several times before, how to create a form, they have something called the form wizard to try to automatically create a form for you. So if you have a print form or you're just creating a form and you want to turn it into a PDF that can be filled out, you can use this form wizard to add fields. So you can open your PDF up and you're going to find the Identify Form Fields tool. So again, you can use that search box. It's really easy. It tries to identify the form fields for you automatically, and you'll see these little boxes go around the things that it thinks are form fields, and it even names them for you. On the right-hand side, you can rename them if you don't like the way that they named them. So that autofill is really great. You'll notice that it missed something though, because it's just a machine. It's not perfect. I also should mention it identified the checkboxes as well for us. So that's really nice. So not just the text, but the checkboxes. But it missed one field. So what do we do if the form wizard misses a field? You can create some fields manually. Not your favorite thing to do probably, but it's really actually quite easy. So since you already have your form tools open, they have all these little icons at the top that pop up. These are the form components icons, what they call them. Select whichever component you want to add. So in this case, we didn't get the name form field. So I would add the text one, and I would just draw a box around the name section. It will create that cute little lavender box for me. Name the field. And then again, on the right-hand side, you can rename any of these fields if it doesn't work. So you can add in text, you can add in a checkbox, a radio button. There's lots of things you can add in. Also note, I added a link to the section on LinkedIn Learning that describes how to do this for you as well. So if you're visual and you need to see it happening, they have this on LinkedIn Learning and you can watch it again. So basically we can just draw boxes where we want form fields, and that works pretty well too. Now, those little tiny icons were giving me a little bit of heck. Like, what are these icons? Some of them are easy to tell what they are, but I noticed that there's a ... little menu where you can show the labels, and that just puts the text next to the image. So if you need the text of what does this mean, you can just open up your labels section here. So little dot, 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 show all labels. So I can actually read what the icon means.
So Larissa, do we need to install the form wizard, or does it come
No,
with it?
it comes with the Adobe, the Acrobat Adobe, not the reader version, but the pro version, which you can get in the Software Center. So you don't have to install anything. You just search for the tool and then it will start running through and create the form fields for you. Super magical. We also had some people ask about redacting PDFs, and this can be really, really important too. You can redact. There are some properties that you can choose. These are optional, but the properties are things like you can change the color of the redaction. The default is just to have the black text, but I don't know if you wanted it to be purple or whatever color. You can also add overlay text that indicates it's a redaction. So just text on top of the blackout section that says this is a redaction or whatever you need it to say. Once you've selected redact, you're just going to use the little arrow tool to highlight the text or the image you want to redact. So again, you just drag across the text. A border is placed around the text. And when you choose apply, it's going to give you this little warning. Are you sure you want to do this? And you just can hit continue. You'll also notice that the default selected is to sanitize and remove hidden information. So one thing is you can redact text in a PDF, but it's still there, kind of. So this sanitize tool tries to pull the extra like metadata information out of the PDF to truly redact it, not just put text over it or a block over it, but truly pull the data out. Because if you'll remember, you can search any of these PDFs. You can make any of these PDFs into a readable PDF, meaning that the text can be searched. So there's all sorts of data going on in your PDF that you may not be aware of. So remember that the sanitize is a good idea. Sounds kind of aggressive to sanitize it. There's also redact a specific word. So if you know that you need to get rid of somebody's name or an email address, something personal identifying information, again, when you go to that redact tool, it pops up the tools at the very top and you can redact text and images. When you do find text and redact, this is kind of like using the Control F in Word. It searches for, you could search for a keyword. So it gives you this kind of clunky little box that opens up when you click find text. You can search for the keyword. It will pop up all instances of that word, the name or whatever it is. You can check the individual instances that you want to redact, or there's also an option to check all. You'll see here that I've already selected that. So you can uncheck all or check all of the instances. And then once you do that, you have to hit mark checked results for redaction. For some reason, I couldn't find this button when I was practicing. So I marked it here just to make sure you know. You marked the checked results for redaction, you choose apply. So it will redact for you, but what happens when you redact is Adobe tries to make you save a backup copy. It's a good thing that they want you to save a backup copy in case you have regrets, right? But it does it a lot. So make sure when you save these backup copies, you name them something that makes sense to you. You save them somewhere that makes sense to you. So you don't end up with 12 different backup copies that you're not sure which one is which. So really consider what you're naming these to make sure that it's clear to you. Like maybe you want to have a redactions folder, a backup folder, something where you save those. So our archivist Javier put an file name idea in the chat if you're interested. So yeah, redacted. Sorry, Javier, I thought you were being serious at first. You could say redacted 1, redacted 2, redacted 3, I'm not sure. But just make sure it makes sense to you so you can find the final redacted file in the end. I also wanted to mention, and I swear I thought I put this in here, but there's also in the tools section just a sanitize button. It might actually be this one. At the top, when you go to redact, you can sanitize your full PDF by selecting the sanitize button. And that tries to pull out any identifiable information as well. We don't know how great that works. It's not perfect. So it's just an extra protection you can do in your PDF. So we were asked about protecting your PDFs last time, so I wanted to be sure to include this. If you want to add a password, you can search for protect in your tools section, and you have an option to protect using password or remove hidden information. The password's what's most commonly used. You can just create your own password, and then you select whether you want to make it when they type in the password, or can they only view it or can they actually edit it? Also remember, if you forget your password, then there's no one to recover the password for you as far as we could find. So we actually found an online forum where someone asked, what happens if I forget my password? And it says, you must remember your password. I mean, that was the suggestion. So make sure you save, again, maybe another backup copy, or just for yourself, or make sure you have put your password in your password saver somewhere. There also are some advanced options when you protect your PDF. So let me go back real quick. When we added in the password, you'll notice there's some advanced options here. The advanced options allow you to do some additional things. It pops open this little window, and again, just allows you to put that password in. But the other things that it allows you to do is do things like put a password so no one can open the document at all without the password. You can restrict editing and printing, so you don't want somebody to even be able to print the PDF. I don't know if I've had this happen before where I've received a PDF and I couldn't print it. That's something you can do. You can also check to lock the copying of the document. So that means nobody can use Control-C or highlight text and copy that text or images from the document. So if you really want to, uber protect it, you can enable that option. One thing that is a default that I would suggest you leave is there is an option to enable text access for screen reader devices. This just allows our colleagues or students who are visually impaired, it allows them to use a screen reader so that they can actually, have that additional assistance when they're reading the document. So these are just some extra levels of protection you can add in. When you save and close the document, the permissions are applied, and please remember your password or save your password.
Oh, good question. Will it prevent snippet or snagit to be used?
I'm going to guess no, it's not going to prevent you from snagging it or snipping it. But I haven't actually tried, but I bet, think about the fact that you can take a photo with your phone and you can turn that into to a readable document too. So it really is, there's no way to fully protect a document. I guess unless it's, obviously having it inside of our firewall and not allowing it to be downloadable, but even then people can screenshot, I think. It's a good question. Another option is you can actually, or another just sort of bonus is you can edit an image in your PDF. So you can right click on the edit a PDF option. So it opens up all the tools, and then right click on the image and choose edit using. So if you have Photoshop on your computer, it's going to let you edit using Photoshop. You can get Photoshop from the Software Center. Don't download it unless you really need it, because it does cost the institution. But the other option is Paint, and you may have other editing tools on your computer. But if you need to edit that image, you can say edit using, select Photoshop or something else. It'll open the image in Photoshop. You can do all of your fancy editing in Photoshop. When you choose save in Photoshop, it's going to update the image in your PDF for you. So that's just an option. This is for kind of super users if you're editing images, but it is an option to edit in Photoshop, and it will translate over to your Adobe PDF. So also file sizes can be an issue, or you may just want to be able to split up a document at some point. Some of these documents are super huge, so you can search for the split option in your tools, and you can split by number of pages. So say, you just want to save every 5 pages. You can split by file size if you have a maximum file size you can send. And one other option that I think is really handy that someone, actually our archivist mentioned to me, is you can split your document by bookmarks. So if you have a really huge document and you've organized it by bookmarks, you can choose to split it by top level bookmarks, and it'll pull out the pages based on the bookmarks that you've selected. So that might be a natural way to split a document apart so that it makes sense when you're sending it to someone. Acrobat will ignore the nested bookmarks, so the sub-level bookmarks, it'll just take those top-level bookmarks. So that's one way to split a document up if you need to. You can also just reduce a file size. So if you're having trouble emailing, don't forget you can use OneDrive. If it's appropriate, you can share through OneDrive. You got lots of space on OneDrive. But if you need to email it for some reason, you can go to File, Save as Other, and Reduced Size PDF. And it will try to scale down the size of your PDF to send. One thing to remember is it's going to lose some of the quality of the PDF. Not a ton of quality apparently, but just a little bit. So if you, I don't think that's really an issue for most people, but if you're preserving something, a document, you might want to consider sending it through OneDrive instead. OneDrive's obviously a great tool we have that we can share materials through. So you can just quickly save as other and reduce the file size. I wanted to mention accessibility because if you don't know already, Leslie and I care a lot about accessibility. When you're creating a PDF, you can quickly check for accessibility. They make this so easy. Again, under tools, they have something called an action wizard. And when you choose make accessible and start, it's going to start running through a little wizard to fix the accessibility issues. You can skip any step that it pops up for you, but the ones that are kind of, I think, are most important is it's going to pop up and ask you to add a title. It's just a little field you type in to add a title, and you can add a description of your PDF. This is helpful for screen readers. It's very quick and easy to do. You can also choose recognize text using OCR. So this is where it makes the document scan so someone can search the PDF document. This may already be done for you, or you may choose not to do it. It's up to you. You can skip it. You can have it detect form fields if you haven't already done that, so that people can fill them in. It'll let you know that you still have form fields that maybe you need to make fillable. The one that's really important that I was not aware of before this is set tab order property. So this is important for people to be able to tab through the documents and the pages. It's going to do this for you, so you don't even have to know exactly what's happening. It just does it for you, and it makes it easier for people to tab through and access the document. Also makes it more accessible for screen readers. And then set alternative text. So alternative text is just if you have images in the document, they want you to put a little name or description of what the image is. So again, if someone's visually impaired, their screen reader will say, this is a joke about, I don't know, work productivity, whatever it is, whatever the image is, or this is a graph indicating X, Y, and Z. That's what alternative text does, is it will describe it out loud for someone using a screen reader. I think this is going to become more and more important because people are using AI tools to read their documents, even if they may not have a visual impairment. So there are lots of other sort of reading disabilities. I myself have one that sometimes it's helpful to have it read out loud to you. So these tools are really easy to use now. So setting alternative text and making sure these documents are accessible is important. So it kind of just runs through it very quickly. You choose to do the things it asks you to do or skip them. It's up to you. And then you're done. It can ask you to run an accessibility check. And all that does is then it quickly runs through, checks, and lets you know if there's anything else you want to look at in your document to modify to make it more accessible. So it's super fast, super easy, and a way to make sure we're making it readable for everybody. Okay. A couple people mentioned last time making Adobe your default. So if you're having trouble with Adobe being your default, you can right-click on the thumbnail of any PDF file. So if you have something saved, to your desktop or wherever, right click on any PDF, choose open with, and choose another app. You will just select Adobe Acrobat or Adobe Acrobat DC, whichever one pops up, and check the box that says always use this app to open PDF files and click OK. If you can't, for me, when I did it, my Adobe was already up here because I already had it selected. If it doesn't show, you just say choose another app, and there are more apps you can select from, and Adobe should be in the list. If you really have trouble, it's probably a for info question if you really can't get it to set. But that is how you make Adobe your default. I also wanted to mention the Office 365 app. If you need to edit Adobe PDFs, you can use it on your phone. I'm not suggesting anyone should be working on their phone or working when they're not working. Please don't do that. But on occasion for personal use, even you may want to edit PDFs. So I wanted to mention this. Doesn't happen a lot, but if you had something you needed to sign or edit, you could do that from the Office 365 app. So if you just download the Office 365 app on your phone, you can scan documents to create or create a signature. You can also access Copilot on this. So if you're interested in the AI tool, you can use Copilot through that app as well. Again, don't put anything super private, personal in here. And also there are rules, there are state rules, orders, laws. I'm not sure if it's an actual law, but it's important that we're not supposed to access or use any MD Anderson materials on a personal phone if we have TikTok or WeChat, or there was one other and I can't remember the name of it, but I put the article here for you to look at. There are security issues with TikTok or concerns about security with TikTok and WeChat, and I hadn't even heard of the other one. Maybe I'm just too old for it, but so you might try this if you're interested, or if you ever need to scan things at home. It's helpful for personal use as well. You can also access your OneDrive files on the 365 app. There's quite a bit that you can do there. Again, don't work when you're not working, but just want you to be aware that that's available. Okay, does anyone have any questions? Any other comments about things in Adobe that would be helpful or useful? Did I miss anything, Leslie?
You did not.
Okay. Everyone's very quiet.
They are.
Right,
Oh,
well,
how do we make it a default again?
I have a question. This is
Okay.
Teresa. If you can go back, I was trying to the default right here, because for some reason my documents always open up in the web browser,
Okay.
and every time I change it back to Adobe, a couple of days it'll work, and then it'll change back. It'll switch back. So I was trying to see how I can make it stay that way permanently.
Okay, so someone else pointed out to me that in the Software Center, there is like a download. I'm going to try to open it if I can get it to open. There's a download for Adobe, I think, to try to make it stick. It sticks for me, but I've heard several people say it doesn't stick for them. Well, let me see if I can find it for you. So you know you can search for the Software Center from here on your computer. For Macs, I always forget where it is, but you have a Software Center as well. And I believe that you can download. Sorry, it's thinking, you know, there's an app we can download for this that I may have to send out later if it doesn't wake up. Okay, Adobe Acrobat default app. So I think, well, I'm not sure if this works or not, to be honest with you, but I think it's worth a try to download this and see if it works, because I'm not having that issue and I don't have this installed, but I know other people are having the issue. So and we're all on different versions, different updates, things like that. Someone else asked, oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying thank you. I'll try that.
Okay.
And see what happens.
Okay. So, okay, someone
One of the
else.
questions is, what is Copilot?
What is Copilot? So Copilot's a new AI tool from Microsoft. It's going to start being embedded in everything we do eventually. It's not currently enabled on every tool that we have, but if you're interested in playing with it, it is part of Microsoft Edge currently. So if you open the Microsoft Edge browser, Copilot is this little green, blue icon. I think it's supposed to mean something, but I don't remember what it is. It's a cute little swirly icon. And it's an AI tool where you can ask questions. Don't put anything personal, private, PHI, PII in it, but that's what that is. Okay. Okay. So next week and next tool time, I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of these new AI tools and how to use them and what's appropriate and what's not.
Okay, so someone asked about what the difference between the apps are. I'm not sure we can answer that, but also it sounds like if you have Adobe Pro, it works fine, it sticks. And I think that's why it's sticking for us. But if you only have the reader, I think you need the one that says it's the default. I think that is different.
Okay, so they have different functionality, but honestly, in the Software Center, it's a little confusing for me. But if you want to try Pro, you can download Pro here. That's the more advanced version with all the tools.
And Anna says if you switch to list view instead of the grid view that you're in, you will see what you have installed or not installed.
Oh, thank you. So I have a really advanced version of Adobe on my computer, but if you use Acrobat Pro, that one should work for you. And since someone asked, all my PDFs are showing with the Chrome icon and it always opens in my web browser, I was having that trouble when I got updated too. So try to make it your default app or try Pro and see if either one of those will help fix that for you. Okay, so I feel like we're probably going to have more questions. Please continue asking. You can email me. You can post them on the Tooltime team. In 2 weeks, I'm going to go over some of these AI tools. We're going to talk about Copilot again and what you can do and what you can't do and kind of the things I've learned about them so far. I mean, it's only 30 minutes, so I can't tell you all the things, but I'm going to pick some select things that I think might be helpful for you. Okay. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, you're supposed to be able to just right click on the Chrome icon and ask it to open in Adobe, but it doesn't seem to be sticking for everybody.
Right. And Anna did send a link about why it's opening in the browser, but again, it's not sticking with everybody.
So maybe
if it's still not sticking for you, this is a for info thing.
Yeah, but try a different version of Adobe, and you may have to have everything shut when you install. You know, when you install something new, you might have to have other applications shut for it to work. So remember that too.
Oh, for info fixed it and it happened again. Okay.
No.
Anna also sent instructions on how to disable the reader in the browser. So that might be also the problem.
Okay, we'll keep investigating and we'll let you know.
10:30, Larissa, you need to run.
I know.